Hello. Today we're going to be looking at creating data objects for schools with identified supports. So, if you take a look at my MICIP screen, you're going to notice that we have the data story name and we also have our data set. I have clicked the pencil, and so the countdown for concurrency is going down from 15, so no one else can be in the same area. And I'm now going to create the first data object for identified schools. So I'm going to go to my third party integration. I'm going to pick K-12 grade. I'm going to start off with school index, and I'm going to focus on proficiency. In the school index, proficiency will come up for a specific school for that district, and you can toggle between schools underneath location. So I just pick one of my schools. And then what I'm going to do is make sure that I have the correct year to show some data. And I'm also going to use a naming convention here. So this is specific for CSI schools. So I'm going to type in CSI using this happy elementary as my example. And I am going to name this index, ELA, and math toggle schools. So I create that title. I'm using a naming convention so that everyone follows it. And I notice that I did not put the year. So I go back in and I make sure that I put the correct year in here. But the years can be toggled. But if this is the year that I am going to be using as my baseline, I'm going to put 2025 at the front end of it. And then I will look and I see that I have now my title. And this shows me the combined math and ELA. That's what it's the default is set for. If I want to look at ELA, I have to click the blue bar that says ELA. If I want to see math, I've got to click the blue bar that says math. If I want to see a different school in this district, I just click to a different school and it will pre-populate. Again, combined ELA and math will show up as a default. Then I click ELA to see ELA and I click math to see math. So if I am happy with the naming convention and that I see that this is the school index graph that I want and it's the year that I want, then I am going to add this to my data set. And then it will pop up and appear on my data set. If I had made a mistake, I can always click the pencil and go back and edit anything that I have here or reset the date or the name of the building, and then I'm good to go. So that is a required data object for identified schools. Another required data object is going to be dependent on your situation, could be ELA and math. So I go to my school data, I click K-12, I click student assessment, and if I'm in the elementary, I click the second grades 3 through 8. I'm looking at proficiency. Again, I have to change my naming convention so that it matches the school that I'm looking for. And since I'm looking at an identified school, I'm not looking at the entire district. I would just pick a specific school name and I can put that right in here in my title. I can put the year. It's going to show me a trend. Usually it's 2015 to 2024. And this is showing me my CSI and the name of the school could be placed there, ELA, trend, M-step, proficiency. Now, if I don't like that name, obviously I can go back and change it. And I do notice it's a trend from 2015 to 2025, not 24. So I can go back and I can edit this very easily, change that. And if I have a spelling error, of course, then I can fix my spelling error. And there I go. I can change the years if I have to. I can change the subject area, the grade. So depending on the baseline year, which is going to be 2025, I would use that data and then I would add that to my data set. So I did one for ELA. If that's an area that I have to monitor, if I have to monitor math, the steps are the same. I add data, I go into my school data, K-12, student assessment. Again, I'm looking at my elementary, middle school grades, proficiency, and this time I'm going to look at that same school, for example, and I'm going to look at math. So I scroll down here, I pick math as my choice. I make sure I'm going to rename my title so that I have the right, and I will see I have it saved, so I can just click in here and I know it's math. So all I have to do is go back with my arrows and change this ELA to math. Again, if I need to change it, I can always use the pencil. I have my data, I have my content, my building level, and I add it to data set. So you'll notice in the title, it says CSI. So it is different than the district data object. And if you wanted, you could put the name of the building if that helps to delineate it. But again, this is showing you how to put in data objects for schools that are identified for extra support. So you could be having your MSTEP data. If it's a secondary building, you could be having your PSAT or SAT data. Follow the same pattern. You also are required to do attendance. So you can do attendance information as well under student counts if you would like. There's a student counts, there's attendance. Again, it will populate. You can pick the specific building that you want to look at. This is showing me attendance data as trend data from, again, 2015 to 2025. So again, I would change this title to 2015 to 2025, and it is attendance trend data. And if I'm using this for CSI, I can type in CSI in the title. I could type in the name of the school in the title. You can choose what your naming convention is going to be that way. I check to make sure this is the correct graph. I'm happy with this, and then I'm going to add it to the data set. So then I have my summative assessment pieces, which could be made up of MSTEP, PSAT, and SAT. I have an attendance piece. I have my subgroups covered with my school index. And I also want to make sure that I am including perception data. And so for perception data, I might have a district determined piece where I will come in and I will grab uh, a data piece that I have on my laptop. I'm just going to grab an example here. Just use this picture. If that was my perception survey data report, I'm going to upload it. I'm going to again use a naming convention, 2025, CSI, perception data, whatever it is that you're collecting, a summary again of what that data is. I'm just going to paste it in here. Oh, extend. And then if I can pick where it originated from, if it's district determined, I have no PII, and then I'm going to add it to my data set. And so it will show up as whatever the report is. It's right here. I've got my perception data. I've got my summative data. I have my attendance data. I need local assessments. Most districts are utilizing NWEA. If you're lucky enough to have Munetrics, they have NWEA in their trend data reports. But again, I'll show you an example that I would just grab something from that I had uploaded on my laptop. I will drop it in. I'm just going to call this local assessments. And I'm going to also say CSI so that I know that this is for a CSI data object. I'm going to make sure that I have the summary of it. And then I'm going to pick that this is a district determined piece. I accept and I add it. So now when I look, I have my perception data, my local assessments, my school index, my MSTEP or PSAT or SAT, depending on what I have there, my attendance, and grad rate. So I go back here to my school data and I'm going to go and find my grad rate information. Make sure I have my information here. Grad rate. Right here. Nope, wrong place. Let me find it. Counts. Here we go. Grad rate. So when I get my grad rate data, again, it's going to default to all schools in district. I can pick a specific school that I want it to be. I make sure here again, it's probably going to show me some trend data from 2014 to 2024. Again, I rename this and I can keep that there and I can say 2014 to 2024 trend. And it is grad rate. So I can get rid of this if I wanted. And I can get rid of this. And so I have that, and I can say that this is my CSI designation. So I have the title. I can change it if I need to. I check to make sure this is what I'm looking for, and then I add that to my data set. So now I have perception data, local assessments, school index, MSTEP or PSAT or SAT or combination, attendance trend, and my grad rate. That is all great information here to have. As a CSI building, there is going to be another report available that you will be able to upload as a district determined. Same thing, it'll be on your laptop. You'll just grab it off of your laptop, and I will just do a screenshot here, put it in, and it's going to be an end target measure for CSI building. So I will label it so that I know it's for CSI building. Going to copy this again and put it in here. I will make it a district determined. I accept and I add it to data set. So let's take a look at our data objects. I've got perception data, my local assessments. I have my now end target measure. I have my MSTEP or my PSAT or SAT. I have my attendance trend and my grad rate. So these are required for your schools that are identified to have those data objects that you will actually monitor these for your 3-year period. So if you have any questions about how to create data objects or how to name your data objects, please feel free to reach out and email me at blackwelld1@michigan.gov.